Listen, if you're a young Muslim, you should have a little bit of pride knowing that you are the next generation of Muslim, that you're going to represent Islam. You should understand this is an honor and this is a big responsibility, but that also means you have to have some respect for yourself. You have to have accountability and realize this life is not just about it being easy and enjoyable and fun. The harsh truth is, Islam is not a religion for weak people. If you're weak, then how can you be a representative of Islam? But if you are proud of being a Muslim and you want to have that accountability to be a good representation of Islam, that here are 4 things that you need to do to improve yourself, inshallah. The first thing, and in my opinion, the most important thing above everything else, is having knowledge in the religion. See, I was thinking back about my past self. Basically, when I was in less of the good habits and I was doing more bad and sins and whatever else, and I realized the number one difference was that back then I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And this is true for every single Muslim. The difference between you right now and the position you want to be is just the amount of knowledge you have. There's a reason why if you think of a righteous person, it's usually going to be a scholar or a person of knowledge. And there's a reason why the Salaf and, the Sahaba, all of those people, they had the most knowledge out of anyone in the Ummah. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever strives for a path in knowledge, Allah will make him a path to Jannah. And so you might ask, why? Why does gaining knowledge make you more righteous? Because technically, knowledge itself doesn't have any effect. You have to have an action paired with the knowledge. The thing is, when you have more knowledge, you have knowledge about the consequences of whatever action you do. For example, let's say a certain sin. If you have knowledge about the sin, you have knowledge about the punishment that comes about from that sin. And because of that, you're just naturally going to have more accountability. You're going to be scared of that punishment. You're not going to want to go near it because you realize, bro, this punishment is real. So the main thing is it's going to give you a sense of responsibility. It's going to give you the reality of what life is. This life is really nothing more than enjoyment. And if you had true knowledge of what the Akhirah was like and what Jahannam was like, would you really be indulging in all of these worldly pleasures and sins? Or would you, to be honest, be on the ground in sujood for your entire life because you realize that Jahannam is really that bad? Real quick, my name is Halim. I help young Muslims go from losers to winners. Check out the top link in the description if you want to break free from procrastination, inshallah. Now, the second thing I think every single young Muslim needs, and this is something that I'm surprised when I see people don't have this, but it's having strong goals. Listen, you and I both know that setting goals puts you in a direction, but the thing is, if you don't have goals, what are you doing with your life? You're kind of wandering aimlessly. And something I thought was interesting is, at least we're Muslim, we know that our end goal is Jannah. Imagine if you had no goals and no thought of Jannah or the afterlife. Well, you'd be completely aimless. You wouldn't even know what to do. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of those people that have no goals and no purpose, no aim, end up being depressed and suicidal and all of those bad things. So if we want to take the opposite of that, if we want to live fulfilled lives that are not depressed and not suicidal or anything bad, then what we need is a very strong direction, which you'll only get through goals. Here's the thing, you probably know that your main goal in life is to worship Allah, and you should worship Allah over pretty much anything else. But what a lot of people get wrong is not understanding that a lot of different things can be counted as worshipping Allah. For example, making money. You might not think at first that making money is ibadah, but if you're a man, making money is fard on you, meaning you have to do it. It's not like you could skip making money and providing for your family in order to pray extra. That's actually sinful. You should not do that. Instead, there are some worldly things that you still need to do, like providing for your family, making money, and that's where you actually have to use your goals. See, your goals should not be dunya focused, but they should be aligned to Allah. Meaning something like making money. Of course, it's in the dunya, but if you align it to Allah, you could tell yourself, I'm going to make money in order to provide for my future family, or in order to donate, or in order to push a good cause, like maybe building a masjid or anything you could think of. The last thing I want to say with goals is, if you're a young Muslim, bro, make your goals big. This is something that I honestly don't like seeing is people with too small of goals. You have to understand that no matter if you have a small goal or a difficult goal, both are going to be difficult to achieve. They're both goals, they're both dream scenarios. So you might as well make your goal big. If you think about it, there's literally no benefit to having a small goal. You might as well think big because if you're going to change yourself, you might as well change the entire world with you. The next habit you need to do, and unfortunately a lot of us are not doing it enough, is going to the masjid more. The truth is, a lot of us might not like to hear it, but the masjid has so much barakah in it. As I noticed, as I started going to the masjid more and more, I just found random blessings in my life. For example, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have the time, because it seems like going to the masjid, walking there, praying, and then walking back, seems like it would take a lot of time, especially if you live far away. But the truth is, if you spend your time going to the masjid, you'll actually have barakah in your time, meaning you'll feel like you have more time and you feel like you'll use your time more wisely. We know that quality is more important than quantity, and when you go to the masjid and you add barakah to your time, you basically are adding more quality to your time, even if it's less quantity. So what you'll realize if you actually do it, you'll be more productive and you'll use your time better if you spend your time going to the masjid. And as a side note, doing anything, important when it comes to religion, like reading Quran as well. Not only that, but one of my favorite parts of going to the masjid is just the fact that you get to go on a walk. See, it seems simple, but going on a walk very frequently allows you to reset and gain new ideas. Especially if, for example, you fried your brain after doing a really difficult task and you were working hard. It's important that you go on that walk so you reset and you relax. And what I notice is I actually get some of my best ideas when I'm walking to and from the masjid. And not to mention that you're connecting with the community and you're talking to people, which, let's be honest, is such an integral part of life that in modern life is unfortunately so wasted. So all of these things sound very simple, and they are, but what I realized is going to the masjid very frequently is just one of the most healthiest habits you can do, especially when you compare it to how a lot of people are living in the modern day, like non-Muslims, where, for example, they'll go the entire day inside without any sunlight, without talking to anybody. I mean, going to the masjid just fixes all of these things. Now, the last thing, and probably the most interesting, is to learn a skill or craft. Listen, I think if you're young, you have to be doing something big, or at least working on something big. When you're young, all you have is time and opportunity and ambition. So you might as well spend that doing something good, like working on a craft or a skill. Try and get really good at whatever you're interested in. For some people, it might be speaking, it might be writing, fitness, or honestly, whatever you want. What's interesting is if you look at the Sahaba, it's not like they were all one-trick ponies. Some of them were very good writers and poets and things like that. Some of them were the opposite. They were really good fighters. Others were people of knowledge. And so what happens is you have specialization in all of these different fields. Depending on what you like, you have to be specialized to contribute something to your society. I mean, if you're a good speaker and if you like speaking on camera, you could do something like what I'm doing. And personally, right now, I think the biggest opportunity you have is social media, and that's because of leverage. Compare now to a long time ago, like the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they didn't have the opportunity to speak to tens or hundreds of thousands of people at once. But because now we have the internet, you could reach so many people. Like just one video with one hadith can reach 1 million people. And so imagine how many good deeds you can get from that. It's honestly so powerful, and especially if you look at the fact that social media is a double-edged sword. I mean, you're going to be asked about how you use it on the Day of Judgment. Unfortunately, many people use it in the wrong way. They get so many sins off it. But imagine it could be the way you get into Jannah just because of the fact that you shared good things and that gave you good deeds. And look, it doesn't have to be anything complex. Like with what I'm doing right now, if that's something that interests you, absolutely go ahead. Because you can never say that it's a waste. As long as you're spreading Islam and good teachings, it can never really be a waste. But if you want, it could be as simple as like a reminders page. You've probably seen those pages on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or wherever else where they share hadiths or speakers or quotes or things like that. And it's something that simple that could literally be the difference between you on the Day of Judgment going to Jahannam or you going to Jannah. Like imagine you're on the Day of Judgment and you see mountains of good deeds behind you and you don't even know how they came. But the reality is, it's because you share these good teachings. And I think in general, being really good at a skill or craft gives you a sort of purpose and identity in society. I mean, you could think someone who's good at blacksmithing and making armor, his role in society is the blacksmith. If anyone needs anything to make, they go to him. So you kind of need that for yourself. And if you don't have that, you are going to be kind of lost because no one's going to value you. You are going to be kind of useless. So think of what it is for you and try and get good at it. If you can, use social media because I think that's the best thing you can do. But it doesn't even have to be that. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Don't forget to not stop making dua to Allah. Check out Clean Islamic Streetwear in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.